Greetings and welcome to In Depth with me, Dike Roster. As we are looking at the new year looming ahead, doing a SWOT analysis, possibly as a person or a company, the issue of cybersecurity looms large. Now, to speak to companies preparing and becoming more proactive when handling crises, we have publicist, or should I say the CEO's publicist, Carla Williams Johnson. Season's greetings, ma'am. How you do?
Greetings to you. I am wonderful. How are you doing?
I'm all right, thank you. Looking forward to this conversation. But even before we get into cybersecurity, things that people should be looking at, why is it so important that you focus not even just within one jurisdiction, but within the region, looking at uh, service towards Caribbean-based CEOs?
I am so happy that you asked that question. I feel like the Caribbean has so much talent. We have so many great businesses. We have so many great business owners. We have so many great ideas. We are such a creative bunch. And for some reason, a lot of us still hold on to the whole foreign is better. If it's from away, then, you're going to go towards that. And I just want us to get rid of that. I think there's so much wonderful things that come out of the Caribbean, so much wonderful people, so many really innovative products, innovative ideas. And I want us to get into the habit of helping our brothers and sisters of the Caribbean in business who really want to put themselves out there, who really want to show the world what it is that we're made of. And I have made it my life goal. I'm not even joking. Made it my life goal to let the world know we have really great resources here at the Caribbean and we deserve to be on a global stage.
And I think even with that, looking at that bird's eye view, that overarching view of the region, you also see trends that are happening in different spaces. So you see precedents that you can move on. This is working here, this is not working there. But with regard to that opportunity to see from a regional perspective, what are some of the biggest threats from your perspective to the Caribbean businesses in the year that is coming, 2024?
So 2024, I mean, it's really the year, it's going to be the year of innovation. We have so much new addition technology. We have ChatGPT, we have AI. And as much as these things are really good opportunities, they can be seen as threats if not used properly. We don't want to lose the authenticity of our products and services. We have moved away back in the 1980s and 1990s. I'm not going to tell you how old I am, but way back then, the loudest marketer win, but now people want to buy from brands that they trust. So if we depend on a lot of this technology, things can go awry. And then of course, cybersecurity, cyber attacks, cyber threats. These are things that can really affect businesses if we do not have the proper systems in place to really help us understand, okay, how do we prepare for this? How do we safeguard our business from this? And I think the third, and not necessarily most important, but the third thing really is reputation management. How do we want people to see us? What do we want people to know about us and our business? How do we want people to perceive us publicly? And I feel like a lot of times reputation management gets quote unquote thrown out the window unless of course a crisis happens. But reputation management needs to happen long before a crisis even decides to peak its head because you don't know, not necessarily don't know, but sorry, what you would want is you want advocates for your business. You want people to know about you, care about you. So even if somebody says something negative or something terrible happens, you have these people who will fight for you, who will speak great about you, who will keep the good word of mouth going for you, even when you're going through a tough time.
And while building that reputation and trying to penetrate new markets, how do you, or what do you keep in mind while you're trying to marry using the technology or the emerging technology, which oftentimes is not coming from our jurisdiction, but also being true to yourself, what you consider your brand to be, the authentic offerings that make you different and make people say, I want to engage with that person.
So this is the question that I always ask any of my clients that come on board. At the end of the day, when everything is all said and done, what do you want to be known for? At the end of the day, what would you like people to take away from any interaction that they have with you? Whether it's an interview, whether it's a newspaper article, whether it's a speaking engagement, whatever that might look like. At the end of the day, what do you want people to know about you? And it's a question that I ask, and I got a lot of, I get a lot of pushback. But at the end of the day, people understand, people realize that this is the connection that we need to make with our people through social media, through digital, through any technology, regardless of how new and innovative this technology must be or might be. At the end of the day, what do we want our people to know about us? Because at the end of the day, that is what's going to build the relationship, form the connection, build the trust, and ultimately get them to know, like, and purchase from us. The tagline that I use a lot is seen, heard, and paid. Because it's one thing to get seen and it's another thing to get heard. That's great. But once people know what you want them to know about you, then that's the easy part. That's where you're going to get paid. That's the paid part of everything.
And it is those nuggets that individuals, your clients can glean from you, I guess would be one of the reasons why it's the second year, so you defended it. If it were a contest, you would say you're defending it. But Female Publicist CEO of the Year. So I want to ask you that question. Coming away from an engagement, what is it that you want people to think about you, to remember, to say, okay, well, this really impacted me about Carla Williams Johnson?
I want people to know that I am for them. Once you are Caribbean, regardless of which island you're from, whether you're living here or you're living abroad, once you have West Indian blood running through your veins and you're a business owner that you're looking to build a legacy for yourself, looking to build a legacy for your children, I am the person that's going to get you out there. I'm the person that's going to get you seen. My team and I, we have dedicated our life to really helping our people get out there. I am so tired of people saying, oh, you're from a third world country, oh, you're not going to make it, oh, you're the wrong skin color, oh, you're the wrong gender, you're not going to make it. I have proven beyond the shadow of a doubt. And I'm not just saying this to pat myself. This is facts, right? If I can do it, if I can win all these awards, if I can be in Forbes twice, like if you asked me 10 years ago if this was going to happen, I'd have told you no. But I want people to see what's possible for them. I'm tired of seeing Caribbean people struggle and not being able to charge enough, or not enough people knowing about them. Or even there are some Caribbean people who feel like they need to go away in order to make it. I don't feel like that's right. And I feel like if it is that you can do it, if I can do it, you can do it too. So that's what I want people to know about Carly Communications. Not just me, the CEO Publicist, but my entire team. That's how we feel. That's the vision that we're building. And we want people to see that vision for themselves, that they too can make it on a global stage.
In terms of building that reputation, putting that brand out there, you use the word crisis in the sense that you said that the reputation should be out to help mitigate any crisis that comes about. But let's build it from the ground up. Define crisis, and does it mean anything? Are there any particular nuances when we think about it in a Caribbean context, if there is one?
So I'm glad you asked the question. So a crisis is anything that happens suddenly that can affect the business. So something that creeps up on you. So it can look like a natural disaster, right? Or it can look like a technological breakdown. You lose your password. Even for a small business, a crisis could look like somebody commenting negatively on your social media. How do you deal with it? Especially if that negativity is gathering, right? Now, in the Caribbean, we tend to see the end result of the crisis, or what we call the bacchanal. This is when everybody already have all their opinion. It's all over the papers. It's all over social media. Everybody's commenting only on what they know, right? They don't know anything other than what the press has told them, or what, somebody whispered in their ear, and they run with that narrative, right? I think that is terrible, and that is sad. We have to do our part in controlling the narrative. We have to do our part in controlling what goes out there. So to answer your question, yes, crisis, it's something that's sudden, something that's unexpected, and something that can have a negative effect. And I really do think that there are things that could be done before it gets to what we in the Caribbean consider a crisis, which is it's already out there. Everybody's talking about it. There's so many things that can happen in between.
And I want us to speak about some of those things when we return from the break. We are speaking with publicist Carla Williams Johnson. Stay with us. We return with more. Welcome back. It's In Depth with Dike Rostant. We're speaking with Publicist, the CEO's publicist, however you want to slice it. But Carla Williams Johnson is talking to us about things that we should be aware of. We haven't touched on cybersecurity as deeply as we hope to go in the conversation, but in terms of taking those steps before it is out there, before you said it's RABs, it's bacchanal, what are some of those signposts along the way saying, okay, well, I need to do something? No, I need to, and what would some of those things be?
Okay, so we define it in different codes. So code green is where something might be happening in your industry that could potentially affect you, right? So that could look like somebody in your industry, got a bad batch of something and people are raging on this person on social media, but you're in the same industry. This would cause you to look at social media, look at changing trends. Could there be some kind of technology that you can implement? Do you need to switch suppliers? You need to kind of be on the alert in case things, get a little bit out of hand. That's what we call code green. Code orange is when, things are starting to get a little hot and heavy, things are getting a little bit heated. So for example, the cyber attack. If you have not been attacked just yet, but somebody within your industry has been attacked, you need to be in code orange. So code orange is going to look like, you know what? Maybe I have a crisis management plan. I need to pull that out. I need to dust that off. I need to now run through that plan. I need to get different people involved. I need to now make sure everybody knows what their place in the plan looks like. If I need to implement new things, change things, I need to run through that plan. Because you know what? I could be next. And if I am, I need to be prepared. So that's what we call code orange. Code red is when we've been hit. Using the same example of a cyber attack. We've been hit. What do? We need to now put this plan into place. We now need to execute the plan. So this is the difference between crisis management and crisis response. When we get to code red, we have moved from management to response phase where we now actually have to execute. Who is this spokesperson? Who is the crisis team? How are we going to manage what is being done? What are the scripts that we now need to give to, let's say, our PR team or customer service team? Who is going to be dealing with the media and what are they going to say? Because again, we need to control the narrative. We can't have people running away with things that they think might be true without stating the fact.
Do we have the opportunity to let that much dust get onto the crisis plan at this point in time? Because we started out the conversation, you were describing 2024 as a year that will be marked by so much innovation. But with innovation come further potential threats. So so what is that like? Is it that we need to review every quarter, every month, what has happened? How has the landscape changed? How do we deal with that?
So what we need to do is look at the things that could potentially affect our business. So for some businesses, the threat could not necessarily be technology. The threat could be flooding, right? It can be a natural disaster. That might be more of a potential threat because they're probably in a flood-prone area or something along those lines. What's the plan for that? Who is going to be responsible? If I am a business that has a product that needs to be shipped, is there alternative shipping routes? Should I be affected by flooding, whether it be directly or indirectly? That is the plan that may need more thinking over, walking through, rather than cybersecurity, right? So first we need to look at what are the potential threats that can potentially affect us and work on a plan for that and involve the different pieces. Once we identify that, then we need to identify what do we need, who do we need, who are the key players within this entire plan. A lot of companies they may tend to change staff fairly quickly. So is there a new manager or supervisor that they now need to train for this plan? What are staff supposed to do? Right? Who is staff supposed to report to? Because I've seen in a lot of companies where there's a crisis going on at the top and at the bottom, no one knows. And a customer might come in and ask a question and they say things like, well, I don't know what they're doing. That doesn't look good for a company if your own employees don't know what's going on. So staff now need to be briefed on on actually knowing what the crisis is and how to interact with customers. Who is the team? We can't have everyone talking to the media, right? So who is the team of 3 or 5 persons that is going to assemble all this information, create the script, and talk to the different, if it's suppliers or the media or whoever needs to be spoken to, right? So there are a lot of different things that need to happen. But the first step is identify what are the most likely potential threats that can affect your business as we move forward. And if you do not have a plan, start to create one.
And in that move forward, what are some of the challenges or problems that can be posed that hamper that transition between management and response when trying to address a crisis?
I think it's just lack of communication. If there is no plan, then there are things that could be overlooked. So, for example, if you do not have a plan and you're in the midst of a crisis, communication will suffer because when you're in crisis mode, you can only think about how am I going to deal with it. So a lot of times, again, going back to the employees, a lot of things going on at the top, but they're aware that something is happening, but they're not aware of what, and they're not aware of who should I speak to, or should I get additional information? Because for some reason, Trinidad is a very small place, the Caribbean is a very small place. Somebody might walk in off the street and say, well, I heard X, Y, and Z, and this might be a new piece of information that can help the crisis management team. How is that employee going to take that information? Who do they need to send that information to make sure that this new information is included into the crisis response plan, right? So there are a lot of different things. I mean, I can talk forever on this, trust me, right? But there are a lot of different things that we need to take into consideration. I think the first step is, at the end of the day, what do we want the outcome to be? Regardless of the crisis, right? What do we want the outcome to be? Because a negative outcome can mean not just a lack of sales, but it can damage the reputation to the point where there's no going back. People may not want to work for you. You might have to spend a lot of money in trying to create new systems, right? How can we move away from spending excessive money? What can we put in the plan, and what do we want the outcome of the plan to be? I think that's where we probably should start in order to start forming a plan that works for everyone.
And in the responses that you've given thus far, it feels as though there's a plurality of persons in the enterprise or the company. What do you do when this is a company of one? I saw a sketch where somebody had an award ceremony and they ended up giving themselves an award because it's just them in the company. So what is that point in time to say, okay, well, is it that we need this amount of people to have a plan that will be able to inform a response? Is it that we need to put in place that should something like this arise, or even before, we reach out to an expert, a subject matter expert or publicist, or somebody who will be able to influence or guide them along a path? So perhaps crafting that response or that plan, when it's one person and they're just trying to deal with the work that is right in front of them, because tomorrow real far, because these things need to be dealt with today. How do they sort that out?
So everybody needs somebody. I don't care what business you're in, you're going to need somebody. And the plan is going to tell you who you're going to need. So you may very well need the CEO Publicist to help you, but you also may need a social media manager. You may need a virtual assistant to help you take calls or manage online responses or customer responses, right? The plan is going to tell you who and what you need. There are some things that could be automated. There are some things where you actually don't need a human being to do for you. You can set things up, you can set a system up, and it will just automate everything for you. But once you have a plan in place, you will know who you need. Now, let's just say you don't even have time to think about the plan, right? You don't want to have to think about that plan when the crisis happens, because you're not going to be thinking properly. You're going to be trying to figure out how to fix this plan. So if you are indeed a person, a business of 1 or 2 or 5, this is where you now need to call an expert. This is where you now need to say, here what? I need to call team Carla Communications, because I don't know what are the potential threats that can, happen for my business, but I need to be prepared, right? And we actually have a crisis management toolkit for entrepreneurs. In the event that these things happen, these are your responses, these are your scripts. This is what you're going to do, A, B, C, D, right? You just need to run with it. Now, if you are in over your head, for example, so let's say the crisis has grown legs and has just taken off, and you really don't know what to do, we can come in and fix it for you, right? And a PR team can come in and fix it for you. But before it gets to that, I would suggest you make a call, at least have a plan.
Talking about making a call, last 30 seconds, give her that information so people can make the call, people can find you online, people can engage with Carla Communications.
Definitely. I'm on social media, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, at Carla Communications, CARLI Communications, or you can find me on my website at www.carlimedia.com. That's CARLImedia.com.
Thank you so much, Carla Williams Johnson, and all the best for 2024 as we navigate these opportunities/crises. And on behalf of the entire TTT News team, this has been In Depth with me, Dike Rostant. Thank you so much for joining us.